this is where your choice will be decided. Esther stood before the stone structure, feeling both small and insignificant, as if the weight of the universe was pressing down on her. She took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. The tension in the air was almost unbearable. Suddenly, voices echoed around her. Soft whispers at first, but soon growing louder, surrounding her from all sides. The voices were not words she could understand, but they felt familiar, like the distant memories of something she had known long ago. She closed her eyes, trying to block them out, but they only grew louder, more insistent. "You have chosen," one voice said, "but what is the cost of your choice?" Esther opened her eyes, but the woman was gone. She was alone, standing in the center of the strange space, surrounded by the voices of the spirits. She could feel their eyes on her, watching her every move. A figure appeared in front of her, an ancient ethereal being, its form shimmering in the soft light. The figure raised a hand and the voices stopped. "Esther," the being said, its voice like the rustling of leaves. "You have chosen to bear the burden, but now you must face the consequences." Esther swallowed, her throat dry. "What consequences? What do I have to do?" The figure looked at her with deep, knowing eyes. "You must decide what you are willing to sacrifice. For every choice, there is a price." Esther felt a chill run down her spine. She had already known this, hadn't she? She had already sensed that the cost of her decision would be high, but now it seemed too much to bear. The weight of the spirit's gaze was overwhelming, and she felt her knees weaken beneath her. "What do you mean?" she asked, her voice trembling. "What must I give up?" The figure raised its hand once again, and the space around them began to shift. The stone structure began to glow brighter, and Esther felt herself drawn to it. As she stepped closer, images flashed before her eyes. Images of her family, of Benson, of Mercy. She saw herself torn between her sister and the man they both loved, fighting for something she wasn't sure she even wanted anymore. "You must decide," the figure said. "What are you willing to lose? Power, love, family? You cannot have it all." Esther closed her eyes, feeling the weight of the decision pressing down on her. She had been so focused on winning Benson's love, so consumed by the rivalry with Mercy, that she had never stopped to consider what really mattered. She thought of her sister, Mercy, the girl who had always been by her side even when they fought, even when they were at odds. She thought of the family they had, the bond that had held them together despite their differences. Was it worth it to destroy that bond for the sake of winning Benson's heart? Tears filled her eyes as she made her decision. "I choose my family," she whispered. "I choose Mercy. I choose the love we share as sisters." The figure nodded, and the space around her began to shift again. The images disappeared and the whispers faded. Esther felt a warmth fill her chest, and when she opened her eyes, she was no longer in the strange realm. She was back in the room with Mercy and Benson.